Welcome to Spiedel's California Minute. I'm your host, Catherine Sedan. This week we're covering the pros and cons of filing as married filing separate. For a deep dive into community property issues, attend Spiedel's 2-hour community property webinar on October 6th. You'll learn what is and is not community property, how to split community income, and know when community ends, plus more. To register, go to spiedel.com and click webinars. The general rule is that married taxpayers who file jointly fare better tax-wise, but that's not always the case. The biggest advantage to filing separately is that it may, but doesn't always, subject both spouses' income to lower tax rates, but there's frequently a cost in terms of lost tax benefits. Here are the biggest advantages and disadvantages of filing separately. When taxpayers filed married filing separate, they may lose out on some credits and deductions. However, aside from making it easier to prepare the return, there are numerous reasons why taxpayers may want to file separately. By filing separately, each spouse is only responsible for their own tax liability. This can be beneficial if one spouse suspects the other of tax evasion, has concerns about joint liability, or if one spouse has significant tax debts from before the marriage. If one spouse owes back taxes, child support, or has defaulted student loans, filing separately can protect the other spouse's refund from being seized. In some cases, if one spouse has significant itemized deductions that are limited by AGI, filing separately might allow them to claim more of those deductions. The TCJA suspended the itemized deduction AGI limits for the 2018 through 2025 tax years, but taxpayers in the 37% tax bracket for federal purposes will once again be subject to AGI limitations beginning with the 2026 tax year. If one spouse has income-based student loan repayments, filing separately may result in lower monthly payments because only that spouse's income would be considered. Couples who are in the process of divorcing may choose to file separately to avoid financial entanglements. And in some states, filing separately at the federal level allows couples to file separately at the state level, which might result in a lower overall tax liability. For example, taxpayers in California may choose to file separately to minimize the 1% California mental health surcharge on income over $1 million, because if the spouse's combined income is $1 million, they're subject to the surtax, but if their separate income is below $1 million on their separate returns, neither would be subject to the tax. California taxpayers can also maximize their business income exclusion for purposes of calculating their AMT or tentative minimum tax liability. The exclusion is $1 million per return, so it's $1 million per joint return, but if taxpayers file separately, they may each qualify for a $1 million exclusion. Minimizing the tentative minimum tax may increase the amount of certain credits that taxpayers can claim. It's important to note that filing separately often results in a higher combined tax liability and the loss of certain tax benefits. The most common disadvantages to married filing separate include generally higher tax rates, a lower threshold for the alternative minimum tax, potentially lower child tax credits or adoption credits, inability to claim certain deductions, such as student loan interest deduction, as well as the new deductions for qualified tips and overtime and the personal exemption deduction for seniors, lower IRA contribution deduction limits, and the inability to claim certain credits, such as the Earned Income Credit, education credits, the premium tax credit, and the dependent care credit, unless the taxpayer lived apart from their spouse for the last 6 months of the year, was the custodial parent, and provided more than half of the child's support. Spiedel's analysis and explanation of California taxes is the most complete and best-priced California tax guide available, and it includes periodic updates for major changes that happen during the year. You can pre-order a print or online version at spiedel.com under Publications. That's all for this week. Join us next time for another episode of Spiedel's California Minute.